Ciao everyone, I am Al and I am on my healing journey. So today's video is going to be on frequency. So let's get into it. I'm going to tell you my background of how I came across frequency. So when I was 16 years old, I got very, very ill. I went from getting an Olympic ranking in wrestling to not being able to move at all. And sorry, for a second I thought I was going to lose it. So at the point where I got very, very ill, my parents went to battle for me and just started trying to help me find doctors and doing all this stuff. And every time it was, I'm crazy, this is all in my head. Parents, I think it's time that you consider putting her in a psych ward, all this kind of stuff, right? And it was defeating. I tried literally everything under the sun. And we thought it was more of like maybe a sports injury somehow. So we tried to go that route because we're very sports related family. So we really tried to like figure it out that way. And of course, none of it was the answer. Then one day, my grandma was listening to the radio and this lady was advertising on this show, and she did group talks. I can't think of the word right now, and it was on fear. So my grandma wanted to go, and I was supposed to go with her that night, but I just didn't feel good, so I stayed home. So her and her friend went, and when they got there, she talked, and at the end, she opened it up for questions. And if you know my grandma, she'll definitely talk. And at that time, we were kind of like really searching for answers for my grandfather as well, because he started to slip mentally. So she was just asking questions, and then she was like, well, bring him in. He did have a Lyme diagnosis by another doctor, but they didn't do anything for it. So she was like, okay, well, I'm a Lyme specialist. Like, I don't put that out there to people, but I am. So she also was talked about me a little bit, and she was like, yeah, bring her along. So we all went to the first visit. And I remember that day. I remember exactly what I was wearing, and I just remember like hunching over in the chair. I could barely stand. Couldn't keep my eyes open. I fell asleep during the appointment. And at the end of the appointment, I was up, and she looked at me, and she turned her chair and goes, and now you have Lyme. And I remember thinking, like I didn't know how to respond. Like, how do you know that? Don't get my hopes up. So then she has all her vials, and if you've ever been to a holistic doctor, which I highly suggest you do if you're struggling with anything, even if you're not struggling with anything, you're healthy, going to a holistic doctor for a cold, anything, is so much better. Instead of going to a mainstream medical place and getting antibiotics that is going to kill your gut bacteria and give you candidiasis, yeast infections, like all of this stuff. And like, just go to a holistic doctor and get herbs. Like, it's nature's way, so why not? But anyways, she has these vials, and it's all of Lyme and all of its co-infections. And they have you hold your hand up, she presses down, and you're holding the vials to your body. Boom. I had it. And at that point, she sent me for blood work and stuff. So I went and got my blood work done, and I came back with, the way she does it is this special score that I have not heard of any other doctor using. And all my Lyme groups and stuff, sorry I'm messing with my hair so much, but all my other Lyme groups, none of their doctors have sent them for this test, and I wish I could remember it off my top of my head. And if my doctor wasn't on vacay right now, I would totally text her, but I text her all the time. I mean, she's like family, but I don't want to bother her with work stuff right now. So next time I see her, I will have to ask her. Actually, let me put this in my notes right now so that I remember. Ask what the Lyme test. Okay, so anyways, it gives you a score from like 0 to it goes up, right? So when my grandma got tested, she was like in the hundreds, which means if you have Lyme, like it's really it's not really there. You might have like one spirochete in you or something, or nothing. Mine came back very, very low, and I was in my last stages of Lyme. I'm gonna cry, I'm sorry. This is very emotional. Okay, so came back and she goes, all right, so what do you want to do? And my dad and I looked at each other, we're like, yeah, like, let's do this. So my no and I were both on the rifes at the same time. He had his, I had mine. And he actually had like a 2-week jump start on me. But this is not his story because there was a lot of outside forces wishing him unwell. So I'm so sorry. I lost him in the first day of the new year. And it sucks because I got to experience the greatness of this. And there was a lot of people in our lives that were calling the rife such awful things, and convincing other of our family members, like my grandma, that it was awful, and we're a very faithful family. We love God with all of our heart, and they convinced her that it was of the devil and all this stuff. So, she ended up throwing it away, and I don't blame her at all. She was very confused. It was a very hard time. But anyways, it was really hard because I get to experience and be set free of disease and all this stuff. And he's gone. But, I mean, honestly, he gets to meet Jesus. So I guess he got a pretty good deal. But sorry, I did not plan on that. I was not emotional at all today. So, all right, there we go. So anyways, I'm on the rife, and I had some Herxheimer reactions and all this kind of stuff. But let me explain about the rife. So the guy that made it, his name was Dr. Royal Rife. I have some notes on him in the background. You can look him up. If you look him up, I suggest looking him up on DuckDuckGo, because if you know anything about our search engines and stuff, they are very controlled. Let's put it that way. So, and actually, before Rockefeller took over our medical system, people were using frequency to heal, but this is the guy that used my specific machine. Let's see. He studied bacteriology at Johns Hopkins. He had his own laboratory. He received an honorary doctorate degree from the University of Heidelberg. Dr. Rife mastered several different scientific disciplines. Let me see. Sorry, my notes are kind of everywhere. He began using his experience using electronic frequencies on viruses and bacteria. Previous to that time, microbes were invisible, but using his own powerful microscopes, he was able to see them. By 1933, he had built what he called the universal microscope. He claimed that each microbe has its own resonance frequency. With the Rife technology, he bombarded his microbes with light frequency, which matched that of the microbe at an intense level. He called his machine the beam ray machine. What he said happened was that the microbes would explode or shrivel up and die. Some researchers today have reported to be corroborating Royal Rife's discoveries. So the way I like to explain it to people is, think of an opera singer singing at the top of her lungs to break a glass. That's what the Rife is doing. So when you turn it on, it is going at a certain frequency, and you plug the frequency in, and I'm going to try to explain that a little later. So you use the frequency, and what it does is it literally takes whatever runs at that frequency in your body and starts shaking it so hard until it's like poof, okay? Or it'll go and shrivel up and die. So you don't feel like an explosion in you, right? Because these things are microscopic, teeny, 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 tiny. So you don't feel it necessarily breaking, but you do get Herxheimer reactions. Okay, so that's the way I like to do it. Opera singer, breaking a glass. Rife, opera singer, glass, whatever it is breaking. Bacteria, disease, parasite, yeast, infection, virus, whatever. Okay, so home dog, Dr. Rife, was using the Rife, and he went in front of a board of people and was like, look at what I'm doing. I'm curing Lyme patients and cancer patients, terminally ill. I'm curing them. And they said, no. So what they did was they came in, cleared out his office, and took all of his papers, everything he had, all of the blueprints, all of the research, everything, took it out. He was left with nothing. They drug his name through the ground. Okay, so they didn't kill him. They drug his name through the ground, but they killed his business. They killed everything. So they, in turn, basically killed him. While he still had a pulse, he was drugged through the ground so much that he never fully recovered from it. He was never able to practice again. So now people have figured out how to remake this thing, and a lot of people make it underground. There's ones you can get off like Amazon. They're called like the Spooky 2 and stuff. But let me show you mine. This is a frequency machine. Bada bing, bada boom. I beat in my kink. Okay. So you get this computer. At least I do. The one I got it off of, the website. It comes with this, and this is, everything runs on Hertz. So you plug in what code it is. So say I want to get rid of, I don't know. Let's think. I want to get rid of Lyme. And the first code I know it runs off is 74. So I do 74 Hertz, and this has to plug up to my machine. And then and then you holistically test yourself, except my doctor does it, and she'll touch whatever part of the body we're on. So say we're on mi cabeza, she touches my head, and then she puts my arm down, and I'm sitting in front of the Rife in that code. If my arm goes down, nada, I don't need that code. If my arm stays up, we keep that code. And the idea is to run that code at 4 minutes, and that's what is ideal, is running the code at 4 minutes. Because if you run it at 2, it's not enough, 5 is too much. So that's what we do. I got this bad boy. This was an extra $100, and I forget where we got this, but you can definitely look it up. It's called the F100 series by Atelier Robin, and this does what this does, but it's a computer and it runs by itself. So you program all of the code you have, and it just changes every 4 minutes to the next code. This thing, I love it so much. I do, because this, instead of sitting and using this blue box and changing codes every 4 minutes for hours on end, I would sit with this, and it did it for me. It was beautiful. So there's that. I'm gonna go get something and I'll be right back. I'd also like to say that this is not medical advice, that if you are, this is only my journey and what has worked for me. So please do not take what I'm saying as, just take it with a grain of salt. I want everyone to do their own research, so this is not medical advice, and I do not claim it to be. So I'm going through some of my paperwork right now. Okay, so I have all of, this is just found on the internet. It is codes. So everything runs off code. So cancer, candidiasis, bacteria, alopecia, all of these things run off codes. And now when I say this, I want you to be very aware that while things run off codes, your healing will go a lot faster if you're eating the proper diet. And I also believe if you've done parasite cleanses. So what you have to do is get those things out of your body, parasites, eat a beautiful diet. I'm not saying you can't treat yourself every once in a while, but I personally believe in the whole food plant-based diet. again, going back to my faith roots, God plucked us in the garden, and we were supposed to eat fruit and vegetables. We weren't supposed to be eating cooked food and all of this stuff. Now, I would say I've been eating cooked food for years. I really just come to the conclusion that a mostly raw diet or completely raw diet is where we need to be. But, and I'm not judging you, okay? I'm not. But in order to get rid of parasites, you have to get rid of meat, processed sugar, and dairy 100%, because that's the three main things that they like to feed off of. So getting rid of those will help. Now, the other thing is an alkaline body. If you have an alkaline body, disease, mucus, parasites, all these things cannot live in your body. They just can't. Our body is alkaline. So when it's acidic, this stuff can happen. Okay? That's why I got sick. My body was acidic. I was under immense stress. I was eating what I thought was healthy. And I got sick. So it is what it is, right? But, so I believe diet, parasite cleanses, and frequency are amazing healers, okay? And this is the cool thing, is God is the divine frequency. Everything we do runs off frequency. Right now, your phone in front of you that you're watching me on, or your laptop, is running off of a frequency. So let's just use frequency. When your feet are on the earth, that's why people love grounding so much, is because frequency is happening. The frequency with the earth and the body is just healing the way God designed it. So we want to use frequency as well. So weak stomach, whiplash, whooping cough, and you might be like, whiplash, like how could a frequency help whiplash? So you've your whiplash has happened. What happens is the frequency goes in and starts healing the body of what has occurred to it, okay? It heals the trauma of what has happened to it. Skin, all of these things. And I mean, there's codes that go into the 20,000s and all this stuff. And I don't want to show this just because, but you can definitely find it. There are frequency groups. There are code groups for frequency. I just wanted to explain just a couple of the things on there. And I mean, there's so many. Okay. Here's a little snippet of what I got. The machine is designed to be very easy to use. You simply plug in the BNC cable, the black cable, on the front of the machine to the square wave outlet on the single generator. You then plug the power supply into the single generator, then plug in the white cord that goes with the main machine. Once this is done, you will then turn on the signal generator and the main power supply on the front of the machine. The machine will operate from about 1 hertz to about 18,000 hertz. So for the codes that are like 20,000, so are 18,000 and above, this machine does not specifically work for. The numbers on the signal generator need to be lower than 18,000 hertz for the bulb to light. So I don't have a strong enough bulb. The FG2000 frequency generator takes a little time to learn. If you wanted to use 432 hertz, you would punch in 432 and the hertz button. I have provided the manual for the FG2000. If the wrong button is pushed, the bulb may not light. Generally, I put the machine on a nightstand or table and sit about 2 or 3 feet away. I have heard you can take a blood sample from someone who had Lyme and place it on a microscope slide. After drying for 3 or 4 hours, it might be possible to see the Lyme bacteria. When the bacteria are exposed to the machine, you should be able to see the Lyme die off, which is so cool. I personally, like my doctor, believes being within 6 inches really does it. But the guy that makes these has made close to 1,000 rife machines, but by now it's been 2 years since I've done this, so I'm sure he's way over that, and he makes very little money from this. There's so much history behind rife technology. There's been a movie made about rife from zero to productions. I've never seen that, and apparently I've never read this because I wouldn't have found it. Have more video evidence showing rife machines in action. Would like to increase sales. Too many problems with conventional drugs. Over 1 billion people in the world suffer from infections. The body is electrical in nature, yes, generally like a battery. Too much density in the body. That means infections can go in places in the body that drugs cannot penetrate, like the skin. Exactly. Too many problems with drugs. It is more ideal to use electronics to fight pathogens. It's so beautiful. I love it. And then here's a video of Raymond Rife. It's not a good picture, but of him working on his rife. So that's awesome. And then I have my user guide. And I will tell you that I'm so blessed that God brought me the rife. I mean, I thought I was gonna, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? I thought I was gonna die. And, I mean, one day I will, but not because of Lyme disease. If any of you struggle, I want you to know that God's not out to get you. What was meant for evil, God will turn for good. And if you've come across this video, consider that God's trying to help you. So in my case, I got sick, and that was meant for evil. And now God has blessed me with wisdom, and every day He blesses me with something new to help others. And that's why I started a YouTube channel. That's why I'm doing TikTok. That's why I'm just trying to help. So that's it. I just want to help, and I want you to be healthy. I want you to be healed and whole, and I want you to be able to go out and help others. Because I'll tell you what, if I can save one really sick person from the hell that they're living on earth, my journey was worth it. And I'm sorry that I'm sitting here crying, but I'm so passionate about this. Like, it's been 6 years of my life of being sick, and to now be at the end of it and getting to get my life back, a new life, not my old life, a new life, and getting to help people. It's just such a beautiful thing. It's honestly just so beautiful, and I'm so blessed. I hope I answered some questions about the frequency machine, and this wasn't just a whole video of me crying. But I can't rave about the frequency machine enough. Find a holistic doctor that uses them. There are a lot, but they are quite underground. Because again, the people in charge don't want people healed, because a patient cured is a patient lost. So they're very hard to find. There are groups on Facebook. If you go into the frequency groups, rife groups, Lyme groups, and you type looking for a doctor that uses the rife in whatever area, plenty of people will be like, oh, I know, or I'll PM you, or whatever, and you can find someone that way. I know of a couple. I know a lot of people actually fly from, or drive out of town, or out of state, to my doctor, because she's amazing. I love her so much. But I won't just say her name, so. But I want to thank you for being here on this video. I want to thank you, because most of you are coming from Facebook, so I want to thank you for subscribing and not being mean to me like some other people were. I truly appreciate anyone that's here supporting me, because in return, I want to support you. I want to help fill your brains with whatever I know. So I love all of you. I don't know you, but I love you, and I want to thank you for being here and watching me blubber like a baby. And your body wants to heal, so let it. Okay.